The Senate on Thursday passed bipartisan legislation aimed at granting farms access to carbon offset markets by a 92-8 vote. The Growing Climate Solutions Act, introduced by Senator Mike Braun, Republican of Indiana, and Democrat Debbie Stabenow of Michigan, next heads to the House. The measure would establish a Department of Agriculture certification process through which producers can generate and sell carbon credits. The nay votes were from a combination of the right wing of the Republican caucus and the left wing of the Democratic caucus. Generally speaking, those two coalitions tend to come together when there's votes on like anti-war stuff. Senators Cory Booker, Democrat of New Jersey; Josh Hawley, Republican of Missouri; Mike Lee, Republican of Utah; James Inhofe, Republican of Oklahoma; Ed Markey, Democrat of Massachusetts; Jeff Merkley, Democrat of Oregon; Bernie Sanders, Independent of Vermont; and Elizabeth Warren, Democrat of Massachusetts. Lee also proposed an amendment to the bill which would remove the federal certification program for agriculture advisors and credit verifiers from the measure. Lee's amendment was rejected 89-11. Damn. Both sides teamed up to slap that thing out of there. Farmers and foresters are already leading the way through their many conservation efforts. They work to reduce their impact every day through conservation practices that cut down on emissions and store carbon in their soil and trees, Stabenow said on the Senate floor Thursday. According to the National Academies, scaling up these climate smart agriculture and forestry practices in the U.S. could offset the annual emissions of nearly 110 million cars. The growing climate solution is a key piece of the enormous potential that land-based solutions have to help solve this crisis. I like how Stabenow is just, her name got completely lost in this paragraph. Oh, they're putting her and Braun because they're the ones that led in the introduction of this bill. Farmers have always led the way on protecting our environment, and the Growing Climate Solution Act helps them get paid for their sustainable practices through voluntary carbon credit markets, Braun said in the statement. Hoosiers, that's the term referring to people that live in Indiana, that's why he's saying that, and Americans want real-world solutions, and Growing Climate Solutions is a bipartisan, common-sense, pro-jobs win that farmers, industry workers, and conservationists can all support, all without growing our government or our deficit. Despite the bill's bipartisan passage and the support of dozens of agriculture and environmental groups, carbon offsets are a controversial concept among conservationists. Opponents of the practice have argued it punts on emission reductions rather than actively cutting them. So there's this myth in Washington, and I don't know, I think I might have talked about it before. Basically, if a bill passes overwhelmingly, that means that it's good, or it's given like extra credence of being something that will do the working man, normal person, whichever term you want to use, some favor. Like, oh man, look at all these senators that voted for this. That definitely means this bill is great. And when I look at the names of those senators, and to be fair, I haven't seen their speeches on why they oppose this bill, but when I look at the names of those senators, especially Sanders, who, for example, has spoken very much about wanting to work with Republicans and Democrats alike on infrastructure proposals, I know that there's something in that bill that if I go and look it up, I can probably find to criticize and have a problem with. And, it's probably another one of those things where, just like, I get upset with Manchin for his insistence on bipartisanship. This idea that just because the other side also likes it, it means it's good or better than what we could have come up with if one side was doing it by themselves. So I guess I like the certification process, but again, I need to learn more about this. And I feel like when these senators come up here and they explain the bill or they talk about why they like it, they never really give an explanation of what this damn thing will do. Like, you have Braun, who I did a couple of videos about, I think last year, talking about this is a bipartisan, common sense, pro-jobs win. It's okay, well, how is this a victory? Like, what? How's it pro jobs? What, I guess it's common sense if, and bipartisan because the whole Senate is voting for it almost. But like, what about it is a victory? No explanation, just more. And that's what sucks about these Senate speeches, because they're designed so that people can come up and promote what they like about the bill that they are trying to pass, and they don't even do it. They just speak in these like riddles. It's weird.